It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Respect is not a trophy handed to you for good behavior. It is territory you seize and hold like a commander defending a strategic fortress. Right now, in meetings, classrooms, and negotiations, invisible laws decide who speaks, who is heard, and who disappears into the background. Every time you hesitate, overshare, or seek approval, you surrender ground. The enemy is not another person, but your own complacency, your visible desperation, and the unconscious signals that tell others you will accept less than you are worth. Picture a general at the edge of a battlefield, mapping every hill and choke point before dawn. That is your role each day. The room you enter is terrain, your posture is armor, and your words are weapons. When you ignore these facts, you walk into ambushes unarmed. When you understand them, you set traps of composure and timing that make others lean toward you without knowing why. Begin every encounter by deciding what you will project and what you will withhold. Authority begins where excess ends. Do not confuse visibility with power. In modern settings, respect flows to the person who appears least needy, not the one who makes the most noise. Weak. Please listen to me. Strong. Here is the decision. Weak. Sorry for interrupting. Strong. 1 point before we proceed. Each swap tightens your presence and cuts off the slow bleed of status. Train yourself to speak less, but make each line land like a blade. Sit upright, breathe evenly, and allow silence to do some of the work for you. Imagine a disagreement at work. A colleague challenges your plan in front of the group. Instead of rushing to defend yourself, you hold a calm pause, eyes steady, hands still. You acknowledge the point briefly, pivot to your reasoning, and end with a clear directive. You neither attack nor retreat. In that moment, you stop the erosion of respect and plant a flag of authority without raising your voice. Begin now. Command your posture, your first words of the day, and your willingness to sit in silence. Treat every interaction as a contested border where you decide what enters and what leaves. Respect gained through discipline is respect that endures. Stand silent, stand firm, and the world will move around you. Your mind is the throne, and every thought that enters is a courtier kneeling before you. Some are loyal, pushing you towards strength and clarity. Others are scheming, whispering self-doubt, distraction, and excuses. If you fail to command this inner court, you are overthrown from within, long before the world ever sees your weakness. Respect begins here, in the hidden kingdom of your own mind, because no one will grant you authority if you do not first sit firmly on your own throne. Look at the foundation. Self-respect is not abstract, it is measurable in the smallest signals. The way you walk into a room, the steadiness of your eye contact, the decision to hold your phone like a tool instead of a leash. The morning choice is to rise early or hit the snooze button. Every micro-decision becomes a messenger carrying news to the outer world about how much you value yourself. People read you before you speak. If your body says fatigue, your tone says apology, and your actions say hesitation, the verdict is already written. History shows that rulers who lost command of their inner state soon lost the loyalty of their armies. Machiavelli observed that men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony, and this principle applies inwardly. You may endure hardship if your mind holds steady, but once you surrender control of your focus and discipline, you lose the wealth of respect that others would invest in you. A distracted leader invites invasion. A sovereign who abdicates the throne of his mind opens the gates for chaos. Think of a modern boardroom. Two people present opposing strategies. One fidgets, interrupts himself, and fills silence with nervous chatter. The other pauses, breathes, and speaks with measured certainty. The second may not even have the stronger plan, but the aura of command shifts the room toward him. Respect does not always follow the best ideas. It follows the clearest signals of authority. That authority is forged in the quiet training ground of your daily rituals, long before the meeting begins. You must establish law in your own court. Do not let self-sabotaging thoughts roam freely. Interrogate them, strip them of influence, and banish them. Train your posture to mirror your inner rule. Build habits that remind you that you are sovereign. Replace weak scripts with commands. Weak. I hope this works. Strong. This is the path we take. Weak. Maybe I'm not ready. Strong. I prepare, therefore I am ready. Each shift tightens your throne and strengthens your crown. The cost of abdication is immediate. Every time you indulge doubt without discipline, you hand a weapon to the world to use against you. Every time you let distraction dictate your morning, you walk into battle unarmed. Respect collapses outwardly when you collapse inwardly. Command yourself first, and you will notice how quickly others begin to measure their steps around you. Rule the mind, and the crown will follow. The morning is the battlefield, where your reputation is either sharpened into a weapon or dulled into weakness. By the time most people stumble into their first conversation of the day, they have already declared to the world whether they rule themselves or are ruled by impulse. The first 90 minutes are not routine, they are deployment. When you wake and reach for distraction, you begin the day unarmed. When you rise with structure, every movement becomes armor that others can sense long before you speak. The first movements decide your aura. Step into the day with control, and you carry that discipline into every room. Your posture when you leave your home, the clarity of your eyes, even the rhythm of your walk. These are signals. People may not consciously register them, but they instinctively recognize whether you are marching into battle with precision or wandering like a soldier already defeated. The small rituals you command early echo loudly in how others weigh your presence later. History proves this pattern. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings with reflection, reminding himself of his principles before facing the Senate. Dwight Eisenhower maintained strict routines during the most turbulent years of war, understanding that order in the morning created order in command. They did not rely on luck or mood. They built conditions where their authority was visible and consistent. The battlefield of the morning was not glamorous, but it prepared them to lead armies, nations, and crises. What they did unseen at sunrise determined how they were obeyed at noon. Silent discipline matters more than displays. No one applauds when you choose to journal instead of scroll, when you plan instead of react, when you train your body while others delay. Yet, these hidden victories radiate outward. Walk into a negotiation after a morning of control, and your stillness carries weight. Walk in after a morning of chaos, and every gesture betrays it. Respect does not wait for your words. It responds to your state. Picture a tense meeting. A colleague begins with a barrage of points, speaking quickly, trying to dominate the space. You sit upright, calm, letting the storm pass. When you speak, you are brief, structured, and final. The room adjusts to you, not because of force, but because of the authority you bring from within. That presence was forged hours earlier in silence, when you chose command over drift. Do not underestimate the invisible. The morning is your first campaign, and neglect is surrender. Command your first hour, shape your movements, and carry that discipline like armor into every encounter. Win the morning, win the field. Stillness is not the absence of power, it is power concentrated. In a world of constant noise, the one who can hold silence bends the atmosphere of the room. This is not weakness. It is a weapon, sharper than words. because it places the burden of movement on everyone else. Those who rush to fill silence reveal anxiety. Those who can remain composed project control. In negotiations, stillness becomes strategy. Imagine sitting across the table while the other side floods the space with arguments and justifications. You hold your posture, eyes steady, hands resting, no need to interrupt. The silence grows heavy, and suddenly their position begins to feel weaker. They start conceding details you did not ask for, simply to break the tension. By saying less, you extract more. Commanders know that silence can be louder than threats, because it forces the opponent to imagine consequences. The same applies in conflict. A heated voice is not the sign of strength, it is the sign of a soldier breaking formation. When you stay calm, your opponent wastes energy while you conserve yours. In leadership, your team watches how you carry stress. If you are agitated, they scatter. If you stand still, they stabilize. A general who panics destroys morale. A general who holds his ground inspires it. There is also a neurological edge. Stillness regulates adrenaline, lowers your visible stress signals, and elevates your perceived status. People instinctively trust the one who appears least threatened. In evolutionary terms, predators do not flinch. They wait, they watch, and then they act with precision. By controlling your breathing and your pauses, you signal that you are not desperate to prove yourself. Respect gravitates toward the person who can afford patience. History offers models of this weaponized composure. Roman commanders were known to stand motionless before battle, letting their troops draw confidence from their calm. Eisenhower, facing immense pressure during World War II, often projected quiet steadiness, knowing that his demeanor would ripple through the chain of command. These leaders understood that aura alone can decide outcomes. A room does not only read your words, it reads your state. Picture a disagreement in the workplace. A colleague challenges your plan with force, expecting you to react. Instead of snapping back, you pause, hold eye contact, and respond in measured sentences. The aggression loses its grip. Others in the room shift toward your calm because composure signals authority. You did not win by raising your voice, but by refusing to be pulled off your throne. Treat stillness as part of your arsenal. Command your breathing, master your pauses, and use silence as a blade that cuts without spilling blood. Weak. I need to prove myself now. Strong. I will let the room adjust to me. Weak. I must defend every point. Strong. I will speak once, and it will be enough. Each swap tightens your presence and expands your influence. Authority is not always seized by noise. Often it belongs to the one who does not rush, does not fidget, does not reveal fear. Respect is drawn to stability like soldiers to a fortress. Hold still, and the room will move around you. Respect thrives only when you cut away what corrodes it. Every king trims his court, every commander reduces weakness in his ranks, and every strategist clears the board of pieces that serve no purpose. You cannot hold authority if your daily life is crowded with parasites that drain your focus, your energy, and your dignity. The discipline of ruthless elimination is not cruelty. It is the art of preservation. First, identify the parasites. They come in many forms. The friend who constantly undermines your ambition, the habit that steals your time in secret, the endless digital noise that demands attention without giving value. Each one is a tax on your authority. You may think it harmless to indulge, but every message you answer without priority, every weak habit you excuse, every toxic presence you tolerate, reduces the weight of your crown. A ruler surrounded by flatterers loses vision. A professional surrounded by constant distraction loses impact. History shows the necessity of the purge. Roman emperors who ignored corruption inside their courts fell swiftly, while those who cut away disloyalty tightened their rule. Machiavelli observed that indecision often costs more than decisive action. Leaders who acted swiftly, removing threats before they spread, preserved their states. The same principle applies to you. Delay in eliminating what weakens you is not neutrality, it is surrender. When you tolerate chaos, you give away territory that will not be returned. Modern life tempts you with noise disguised as connection. Notifications, shallow entertainment, and draining relationships demand your presence. But when you remove them, you create a mystique. Silence is not absence. It is presence refined. Imagine ghosting distractions without drama. You stop answering every trivial request, and suddenly your time appears scarce. Scarcity increases value. Colleagues notice when you are no longer instantly available. Friends adjust when you no longer join every meaningless conversation. Respect grows not because you withdraw completely, but because you choose your engagements with precision. Consider a disagreement at work. Someone constantly derails meetings with negativity. Instead of reacting emotionally, you trim their influence by redirecting discussion, limiting their interruptions, and later deciding how much access they have to your attention. You do not argue, you remove oxygen from their disruption. That quiet elimination strengthens the atmosphere and marks you as the one who controls the space. Apply this ruthlessness in your own habits. Weak, I'll just check once more. Strong, this can wait. Weak, I don't want to upset them. Strong, my time is not negotiable. These decisions are not harsh, they are necessary for sovereignty. A general who refuses to cut unfit soldiers endangers the army. A leader who refuses to cut draining habits endangers himself. Respect is not built by adding more. It is built by cutting away until only strength remains. Look at your court, your schedule, your habits, and strike without hesitation. Eliminate the weak, and the throne stands taller. Respect is perception before it is agreement. The mask of command is the armor you wear in every encounter, and it tells the world how to treat you before you open your mouth. People do not wait for explanations, they scan your uniform, your tone, and your bearing. If you appear careless, the court judges you unworthy. If you appear deliberate, the same court defers to you. Authority begins with the image you project. Think of your appearance and posture as your psychological uniform. Clothes are not fabric, they are signals. A strong stance is not vanity, it is defense. The way you enter a room communicates rank, and the way you hold your voice sets the temperature of the air. Weak. Sorry, I just wanted to add. Strong, 1 point before we continue. Weak, I think maybe this is right. Strong, this is the right approach. Each shift creates instant deference, not because the words change reality, but because they change perception of who commands reality. History proves that leaders knew the value of the mask. Napoleon cultivated the image of the little corporal walking among his soldiers and dressing with deliberate simplicity to signal humility, while still wearing the uniform that marked him as commander. Roman generals wore armor not only for protection but as a declaration of status, shining in the sun to make their presence unmistakable. They understood that appearance bends minds as much as force bends bodies. Even when silent, their image commanded obedience. Modern life has expanded the battlefield. Your mask of command must extend to both physical and digital presence. Online, every post, every photograph, every word either strengthens or weakens the mask. If your profile is sloppy, contradictory, or desperate for validation, the crown slips. If it is consistent, measured, and scarce, it radiates weight. Offline, the same principle applies. How you carry yourself in meetings, how you walk into a negotiation, how you hold eye contact. These are signals of sovereignty. Others respond before they consciously decide. Imagine a disagreement in a meeting. A peer raises their voice, insisting their way is the only way forward. You do not match their volume. Instead, you sit upright, allow a pause, and respond with a calm, steady tone. The mask of composure does the work. Others in the room are drawn to your presence, not because you overwhelm force with force, but because you embodied authority that does not need to shout. Respect is rarely about the full truth of who you are. It is about what others can see and sense in the moment. The mask of command is not deception, it is strategy. You decide which part of yourself to reveal, and you decide how to reveal it. Without the mask, your authority leaks. With it, you are read as a sovereign before any word is spoken. Wear the mask, and the crown wears itself. The smallest leak can sink the largest ship, and the smallest signal can undo the strongest image. Respect dies not in grand defeats, but in tiny betrayals of your own body. A twitch, a nervous laugh, darting eyes, or restless hands, all of these whisper insecurity before you speak. Your greatest enemy is not the rival across the table, it is the untrained signals you allow to escape. To command influence, you must train an inner assassin, a hidden force that kills weakness before it appears. Start with micro-expression mastery. People notice shifts in your face faster than they hear your words. A raised eyebrow at the wrong time, a smirk you did not intend, or the flash of uncertainty in your eyes can undo a carefully built argument. Predators in your environment sense these cracks. They may not name them, but they adjust their stance toward you. Train your face into neutrality under pressure. Control your hands and posture. Every movement must serve your authority, not sabotage it. The inner assassin strikes preemptively. You cannot wait until the battlefield to rehearse composure. Under stress, your body defaults to what it has practiced. If you rehearse calm breathing in small moments of tension, it becomes automatic in larger trials. Soldiers drill until the motion of reloading is faster than thought. You must do the same with composure. Practice silence when interrupted. Train steady eye contact when challenged. Rehearse the rhythm of speaking with measured pauses. When the storm comes, your assassin is already in position, eliminating weakness before it escapes. Neglect is costly. Every slip broadcasts weakness. A nervous tap on the table tells others you are uneasy. A rushed explanation tells them you doubt yourself. These are invitations for challenges. In a room full of competitors, one signal of insecurity is like the scent of blood in water. Those who are ambitious seize it. Those who are cautious lose trust in you. Influence drains not with a strike, but with these slow leaks. Imagine a meeting where your idea is questioned sharply. Your first impulse may be to defend quickly, voice rising, gestures uncontrolled. That reveals fear. Instead, the assassin must intervene. You pause, breathe, and respond with calm authority. You acknowledge the challenge briefly, then deliver your reasoning without hurry. The tension shifts. By killing the weak signals, you let the strength of your presence speak louder than your words. Language must also be disciplined. Weak. I hope this makes sense. Strong. This is the reasoning. Weak. I think maybe we could. Strong. We will proceed this way. Each phrase either leaks uncertainty or seals authority. Cut away the weak before it escapes. Every time you master yourself, you sharpen the blade of silent dominance. Your rivals search for cracks and find none. Your allies look for stability and see it embodied in you. Respect is not demanded. It is secured through ruthless elimination of weakness. Kill the signal, keep the crown. Respect without action is wasted. Authority is not meant to sit idle. It must be directed like a blade in the hands of a strategist. Imagine two wolves inside you. One is submissive, always eager to please, appeasing to avoid conflict. The other is dominant, not reckless but calculated, advancing when the moment is right. The law of respect demands you feed the second wolf. To starve it is to let your presence dissolve into passivity. To strengthen it is to turn silent dominance into decisive power. Calculated aggression is not chaos. It is the art of asserting yourself with precision. Speak when the timing forces others to listen. Set boundaries that establish where your respect begins and ends. Weak, I'm fine with whatever. Strong, here's what works. Here's what does not. Weak, sorry, I might be wrong. Strong, this is the direction. Authority grows when you cut hesitation and replace it with measured clarity. History proves that the leaders who endured were those who balanced intimidation with fairness. Commanders who ruled only by fear collapsed when loyalty vanished. Those who combined firmness with consistency inspired allegiance that lasted. CEOs who make decisions without hiding behind committees are respected not because every choice is perfect, but because their clarity eliminates doubt. People do not follow uncertainty, they follow decisiveness backed by control. Respect expands when those around you know you can strike, but also know you never swing wildly. The application today is simple, but it requires discipline. In meetings, resist the urge to speak first. Hold silence, study the field, and then speak last with authority. The room will weigh your words more heavily because you made them wait. When choices must be made, do not drift into endless debate. Cut through noise with decisive calls. When boundaries are tested, enforce them calmly, not with anger, but with certainty. Every time you do this, you feed the dominant wolf and starve the weaker one. Picture a negotiation. The other side presses aggressively, filling the silence with demands. You wait, unshaken, and then deliver your position with firm brevity. The shift is immediate. The submissive wolf would have rushed to appease, offering concessions to escape discomfort. The dominant wolf holds the line, projecting calm confidence that forces the other side to adapt. That single act of restraint, followed by precision, transforms the balance of power. Do not confuse aggression with hostility. This is not about volume or intimidation. It is about moving with the sharpness of a blade, quick, clean, undeniable. Respect grows when people sense you can strike, but never waste energy proving it. Every decisive action feeds the wolf of command, and every weak retreat starves it. Feed the wolf or be devoured. Respect belongs to the strategist, not the reactor. Life is a chessboard, and those who win are not the ones who move fastest, but the ones who think 3 moves ahead. Every interaction, every decision, every silence is a piece on the board. If you wait until others act, you are already behind. Position is power. Reaction is surrender. Strategic thinking means looking past the immediate moment. A decision made for quick relief often creates long-term damage. When you speak in anger, the second-order effect is lost trust. When you agree too quickly, the second-order effect is diminished respect. Always calculate the ripple, not just the splash. Leaders throughout history endured not because they guessed well, but because they trained themselves to see the chain of consequences. A commander who sacrifices a pawn for position understands that the real battle is won later. Your opponents are pieces on the board. Study their patterns, not their personalities. People reveal themselves by habit. The one who always interrupts, the one who retreats when challenged, the one who flatters before striking. Do not get caught in emotion. Do not play their drama, play their tendencies. Position yourself where their predictable moves strengthen your hand. Respect grows when you stop reacting to individuals and start mastering the pattern of the game. Modern life is a battlefield of narratives. The media, politics, and corporations all fight to control perception. Those who anticipate win. Companies that plan 3 years ahead dominate industries, while others scramble. Leaders who prepare for cultural shifts command the narrative while their rivals explain excuses. The same principle applies to you. If you are climbing the corporate ladder, respect does not come from frantic effort. It comes from positioning, choosing which projects align with visibility, deciding when to speak, and anticipating what the organization will value tomorrow. Imagine a workplace disagreement. A colleague challenges you with urgency, pressing you to respond immediately. If you react, you play their tempo. If you pause, consider, and deliver a response that anticipates the wider implications, you reset the board. They may have won the short exchange, but you have secured the position that decides the outcome. That is the difference between a pawn sacrifice and a lost game. Discipline yourself to think like a strategist. Weak, I have to answer right now. Strong, I will answer when the position favors me. Weak, I must win this argument. Strong, I must win the influence behind it. Each shift trains your mind to act like a player, not a piece. Respect flows toward those who set the tempo of the game. Stop reacting, start positioning. Place yourself where the board bends in your favor. Position is power. Respect is not maintained by comfort. It is forged in the fire of discipline and hardened through ritual. Your mind is the iron that must be tempered daily, or it bends under pressure. Influence collapses when you break in front of others. Authority grows when you show steel, no matter the storm. The only way to achieve that state is by building rituals that fortify your will until composure becomes unshakable. The ancients knew this. Stoic practices were not philosophy on paper, but weapons against weakness. Cold exposure strips you of illusion and trains you to face discomfort without retreat. Journaling forces you to examine your motives, turning vague emotions into clear commands. Controlled adversity, whether fasting, deliberate solitude, or intentional restraint, reminds you that you can endure more than the world expects. Each practice is a drill, and each drill is armor. Without them, you enter the battlefield of daily life exposed. Modern science confirms what warriors sensed intuitively. The brain adapts to stress through repetition, a process often called stress inoculation. When you regularly place yourself in manageable trials, your nervous system learns to stay steady under greater pressure. Habit stacking compounds this effect. One small ritual links to another, forming chains of discipline that anchor you when chaos arrives. This is not abstract. It is biology and repetition working in your favor. Respect flows naturally toward the one who does not flinch, because resilience cannot be faked. The benefit is immediate and visible. People sense steel in your tone before you finish a sentence. They feel it in the way you hold silence without fear, in the way your body remains calm when others tense. Respect is not earned only through argument. It is sensed in presence. A leader who has trained his will radiates authority, even in silence. A peer who has hardened his discipline draws deference without demand. The rituals you perform unseen at dawn become the aura others respond to at noon. Picture a heated discussion. Colleagues argue, voices rise, tension fills the room. You remain composed, your breathing steady, your words deliberate. That composure was not improvised. It was rehearsed in cold showers, in quiet writing, in disciplined mornings where you faced discomfort by choice. Now, under pressure, you project stability. Others rally to you because your calm becomes their anchor. Build your iron will through daily rituals. Do not chase comfort, chase command of self. Weak. I can't handle this pressure. Strong. I have trained for this moment. Weak. This is too much. Strong. This is exactly the test I am built for. Each swap sharpens your resolve. Respect bends toward the one who cannot be broken. Harden your mind through deliberate practice. Forge your rituals into armor. Carry that steel into every room. Discipline is the forge, will is the crown. The final stage of respect is becoming untouchable. When the previous laws align, you no longer chase influence or defend against every challenge. You radiate a sovereign presence that moves through the world beyond petty conflict. This is not arrogance. It is the quiet power of someone who has detached their worth from approval and built an invisible shield around their focus. You are no longer playing the game of reaction. Others adjust their moves around you. The final barrier is cutting the chain that ties your value to external validation. Most people live as prisoners of opinion, rising when praised and falling when criticized. That dependence makes them vulnerable to manipulation. If your confidence rises and falls on another's response, you are still a subject, not a ruler. Sovereignty begins when you detach your self-worth from applause or rejection. This does not mean ignoring feedback. It means not needing it to hold your crown. The throne stands because you command it, not because others approve. The invisible shield is psychological distance. You do not allow every opinion, every conflict, every rumor to reach your inner walls. You hear it, you weigh it, but you do not absorb it. That distance is not coldness, it is control. It allows you to remain calm when others are frantic, steady when others are emotional. You can sit through provocation without surrendering composure. That composure itself becomes your authority. Weak. I can't believe they said that about me. Strong. Their words change nothing about my direction. Each shift strengthens your shield and clarifies your command. Cultural impact is the natural result. Once your presence is untouchable, people begin to adjust to you. They wait for your time. They adapt to your standards. They move at your pace because they sense that you will not bend to theirs. In the workplace, this looks like colleagues lowering their voices when you enter or deferring to your judgment without demand. In personal life, it looks like others respect your boundaries without needing explanation. The crown is not requested, it is recognized. Picture a disagreement in a meeting. A peer insists on rushing a decision, pressuring the group. You remain calm, unhurried, your tone steady. You acknowledge their urgency, but maintain your pace. The room slows down to you. They adjust, not because you forced them, but because your composure left no other option. That is a sovereign presence, unshaken, unhurried, undeniable. Becoming untouchable does not mean isolation. It means you are no longer controlled by the currents of reaction. You are the anchor in the storm. Others sense this stability and grant you respect without argument. Influence flows toward the one who cannot be swayed. Untouchable presence commands the throne. The battlefield is silent now, but the scars remain. Every law you've practiced has brought you to this moment. The coronation of the silent king. You began by seizing the throne of your own mind, commanding the courtiers of thought before they could overthrow you. You marched through mornings like a soldier sharpening his blade before dawn. You mastered stillness, wielding silence as a weapon sharper than steel. You cut away distractions like a ruler purging his court. You crafted the mask of command, controlling perception before words were spoken. You trained your inner assassin to strike down weakness before it escaped. You fed the dominant wolf, turning authority into decisive action. You positioned yourself on the chessboard of life, thinking moves ahead. You forged iron will through ritual so your composure became unbreakable. And finally, you stood untouchable, a sovereign who cannot be stormed. Now all converge into one presence. Picture the montage. Dawn breaks. You rise, and your first movements are deliberate. Each step a soldier's drill. At the table, others rush to speak, but you hold silence, letting them reveal themselves. In conflict, you do not react. You cut away noise with calm precision. On the digital battlefield, your presence is scarce but weighted, a profile calibrated to signal command. In moments of stress, your body does not betray you. The assassin has already eliminated weakness. In decisions, you strike with certainty, not haste. And in strategy, you place yourself where outcomes bend toward you. These fragments fuse into a single figure, the sovereign who walks into any room carrying an invisible banner of respect. The ultimate reframe is this: you are no longer chasing respect, no longer begging for recognition. You are commanding it without asking. Your presence is the command. Your discipline is the crown. Your silence is the blade. Those around you sense it before they name it. You are not loved or feared out of chance. You are measured, and in that measure you are respected. Imagine a modern scenario. A heated meeting begins to spiral. Colleagues clash. The pace quickens. Voices climb. You wait, listening, posture steady. When you finally speak, the room slows to your rhythm. You cut through confusion with a single directive. The argument collapses not because you shouted, but because your composure and clarity carried more weight than noise. Respect shifts instantly. No one announces it, but everyone feels it. That is the psychological seal. You did not fight for dominance. You radiated it. The cost of ignoring these laws is visible everywhere. People who lack sovereignty over their mind bend under pressure. Those without morning discipline drift into mediocrity. Those who cannot master stillness leak desperation. Those who fail to eliminate weakness drown in distractions. Those without the mask are dismissed before they open their mouths. Those who do not strike with decisiveness are trampled by those who do, and those who chase approval remain servants, never sovereigns. The reward of alignment is equally clear. You become the person whose words carry weight before they are spoken, the one others defer to in silence, the one who can enter chaos and project calm so strong that others use it as their anchor. You become untouchable, not because you avoid conflict, but because conflict cannot shake your throne. Respect is no longer situational, it is instinctive in those around you. This is the final form, a presence that cannot be stormed, because it is built on every layer of discipline beneath it. A mind ruled like a throne room, a body trained like a soldier's blade, a face and posture crafted into a mask of command, a will forged like iron, and an aura that makes others adjust their pace to yours. This is not a myth, it is not fiction. It is the convergence of small victories, repeated daily, until they harden into sovereignty. Now the coronation is complete. You walk through the war-torn hall of your mind, place the crown upon your head, and raise the banner of respect that no one can tear down. The throne is yours because you built it, defended it, and embodied it. Rule yourself, and you rule the world. Respect is not built in theory, it is built in action. You now carry 6 invisible laws that, when lived, form the foundation of silent dominance. You rule your mind as a throne. You win the morning battlefield. You wield stillness as a weapon. You cut away distractions without hesitation. You wear the mask of command, and you kill weak signals before they can betray you. Each law is a shield and a sword. Together they create a sovereign presence that cannot be stormed. But knowledge without practice is wasted. The only way to test your authority is to move immediately. Within the next 24 hours, choose one ritual and execute it without compromise. Rise tomorrow and treat the first hour as deployment. Hold deliberate silence in one conversation, letting others reveal themselves while you remain steady. Or craft your mask of command, adjusting posture, tone, and language until your presence is undeniable. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Strike now. Every ritual you perform is a declaration that you will not bend to weakness. The moment you commit, you shift your position on the chessboard of life. People will not announce their recognition, but they will sense it. They will adjust their pace, their tone, and their respect to the aura you project. In a meeting, if challenged, hold your calm and answer once with clarity. You will feel the balance tilt. In personal life, enforce one boundary without apology. You will feel the fortress walls rise higher. Respect is not requested, it is compelled by the consistency of your presence. Do not dilute the discipline with hesitation. Weak. I'll try to get to it. Strong. This begins today. Weak. Maybe later when things are easier. Strong. I command myself now. The difference is not in words alone, but in the sovereignty they signal. Command yourself first, and the world follows. Walk out from here as if leaving a fortress with your banner held high. The storms of rumor and manipulation will come, but they will break against the iron of your composure. You are not chasing validation. You are setting the standard. The crown rests on your head because you forged it, guarded it, and wore it with discipline. Command the self, command the world.